Dear Dr. Subhashini Kanaгаsundaram, dear team and members of the Tamil Heritage Foundation International, dear donors, distinguished guests, I warmly welcome you to the South Asia Gallery of the Linden-Museum, Stuttgart. My name is Georg Noack and I'm the curator of South and Southeast Asia here at the museum. What you see next to me is an installation featuring two statues of the Tamil poet Tiravalluvar that were installed exactly a year ago on the 4th of December 2019. That they are here today is the result of a collaboration between the Tamil Heritage Foundation International and the Linden-Museum, Stuttgart. Let me tell you in a few words how this collaboration came about. Here at the Linden-Museum, we are currently working on an exhibition on Tamil cultural history, on the arts and the crafts and the major historical events from the Sangam period to the 21st century. Within the framework of this project, it has been very important to us to involve the community here in Stuttgart, in Germany, other parts of Europe, but also artists and scholars from various parts of Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka. In order to get in touch with them, we started to contact associations like the Tamil Heritage Foundation, temples, and other groups of the Tamil diaspora meeting here in and around Stuttgart, and sought to get in touch in order to discuss how they would like to be involved in this exhibition project. Dr. Subhashini, who is the president of the Tamil Heritage Foundation International, came forward with the idea that there should be a statue of the important Tamil poet Tiravalluvar at the Linden-Museum, and that it should long have been here, so why wait until the exhibition is going to be opened next year in October. So after about a year of preparations, meeting with members of the Tamil Heritage Foundation here at the Linden-Museum and at Dr. Subhashini Kanagasundaram's home, the project started to take form, take shape, and donors were found. Mr. G. Balachandran and Mr. Gautama Sanna, as well as Dr. Subhashini Kanagasundaram herself, contributed the funding to have those statues here at the Linden-Museum. We then worked on the installation, as you see it now next to me, that features not only the statues, but also various editions and translations of Tiravalluvar's main work, the Tirukural, and quotations of verses from that work. When I started to do research on Tamil culture, Tamil cultural history, I was struck by the fact how important and prominent Tiravalluvar as a poet stood out. We do not know many exact details about his life, neither when he was born, nor when exactly his work, the Tirukural, was written. The fact that the government of Tamil Nadu established a new era, a time period, a calendar calculated on the base of an assumed birth date of Tiravalluvar already is quite amazing. Traveling on the subway in Chennai, I saw that there were quotations from the Tirukural everywhere in the trains, and even on the buses that took me overland to various other parts of Tamil Nadu. I also saw posters advertising trainings and classes in management following the principles of the Tirukural. And I learned that Tiravalluvar and his work are greatly appreciated by Tamil people of all faiths and all social groups. This is probably also due to the fact that while the work contains a great amount of wisdom and looks into all spheres of human life and experience, it does not have a strong connection to any particular religious tradition. And while both Hindu communities and other groups in Tamil Nadu have tried to claim him for them. He has remained an adorable and venerable figure, an icon of Tamil culture and cultural history for members of all communities. The fact that we have not one statue here, but two, representing him as standing in different traditions, also connects to that. You may be more familiar with the image on the left depicting him as a Brahmin sage and ascetic. Nevertheless, there are also some connections to Jain wisdom or Buddhist wisdom, the wisdom of the Shramanas, as they existed in ancient times in India. So the artist Chandru, or G. Chandrasekharan, chose to depict him not only as a Brahmin sage, but also as a Jain ascetic or Shramana on the other side here. Behind me on the board explaining the content of the display, we have a reproduction of a book that was published in German in 1803 by a scholar and Lutheran missionary called Kämmerer. And he was the first to translate parts of the Tirukural into German. And that book immediately made its way to the library of the kings of Württemberg here in Stuttgart, who would also have read in it and possibly profited from its wisdom. Before that even, Jesuit missionary Constanzo Beschi, or known by his Tamil name Virama Munivar, has translated the work into Latin some 400 years ago already. Later translations into English, into French, and into many languages of the world followed, because his wisdom and his poetry was not only appreciated in the Tamil community, but also among scholars and philosophers in many parts of the world. So it is a great pleasure for us here at the Linden-Museum to have images of Tiravalluvar here, statues of Tiravalluvar here, that depict him as not only standing for one particular philosophical tradition, but as a representative of two different philosophical traditions, both originating in India. And whatever his actual affiliation might have been, his wisdom has certainly come from both of these traditions. Apart from the two statues that you see here next to me, there are other objects to be found in this installation. We have a set of newly made palm leaves to show the public here in Stuttgart how the wisdom of Tiravalluvar would originally have been passed down from generation to generation, because books in print are a relatively recent innovation in India. Then we have a facsimile of the first printed edition in Tamil here that was issued a few years ago by the Roger Mutia Research Library in Chennai. We have the first complete German translation here available in its original print that was printed in 1865 and translated by Karl Graul, another Lutheran missionary who worked in India for most of his life. But we also have modern editions, a pocket edition for people to carry around in their handbags so that they can have a look at it wherever they are. We have a DVD here that features an animated film on Tiravalluvar. And we have a multilingual edition of his original Tirukural. And finally, a book titled Corporate Wisdom in Tirukural, that is on economic leadership following the principles of the Tirukural. Behind the statues, you see three banners with quotations from the Tirukural, both in their original Tamil wording and in various translations, starting with Constanzo Beschi's 1730 translation to Latin, then Karl Graul's translation of 1865, and George Pope's translation in English in 1886. All this gives the visitors to our museum a good image, I believe, of not only the importance of Tiravalluvar and his poetry, his work to the Tamil community, but how early and how widely it has been received and reflected on in Europe and other parts of the world as well. Again, I have to say thanks to Dr. Subhashini Kanagasundaram for organizing all that, and of course for her team to support this, and to the donors, including Mr. Balachandran, including Mr. Gautam Sana, and Dr. Subhashini Kanagasundaram herself, who all made it possible for this statue, these two statues, to be here today. For now, the Linden-Museum continues to be closed to the public. But I would like to invite you all to come and see the statues as soon as we open again. Also, I would like to mention that the exhibition on Tamil cultural histories, which I already mentioned earlier, will open on the 9th of October 2021, next year. And I would like to invite you all to come and see it. But also please do come forward if you do have any ideas for events that you would like to happen during it is on display. Concerts, dance performances, recitations of poetry, workshops about Tamil cuisine, about arts and crafts, whatever you like. We are looking for people who are willing to join us in making them happen, and we're also looking for sponsors who support us in introducing these arts and crafts and the culture of the Tamil people to the public here in Stuttgart. Thank you.